morning world, it's another beautiful day living in paradise.
Today we're going to answer a question that we know you guys want to hear. Over this last year in particular, since we said that we were staying in the Philippines permanently, you've wanted to know why we still don't speak the Filipino language.
If you have seen our videos before, you will know that we are a British family that came to Siargao Island on vacation just before the pandemic lockdown of 2020. We got stuck here, but we fell in love with the Philippines. There's really so much freedom here, and that's what made us decide that we wanted our daughter to grow up in this place.
This is where our language journey began. After living in lockdown for 6 months, we quickly realised how many people in the Philippines actually speak English. It didn't matter whether we were on a touristy high street or a village in the jungle, we could communicate with the local people and build trust and understanding and friendships. And at this point, we were about 50% sure that we could actually live here, but it was still the lockdown days and we hadn't left Siargao Island yet. So we didn't know if this Filipino English ability was only here, where we were trapped.
Once we began travelling around properly and speaking with locals, we found out that the Philippines has over 180 dialects spread out over 7,000 islands. And because of this, English has become the best way for islanders to communicate with each other and the foreigners that come to visit, like us.
To be honest, we were so impressed with the Filipino people's English ability that it became the deciding factor to stay here. It made us feel so welcome. But it's been 3 years and we still don't speak the language. But which language? Siargao non, Bisaya, Surigao non, Cebuano, the list of dialects just goes on. So here's our main reason why we don't speak Filipino yet.
It's the resources. If you want to learn Spanish or Japanese, you'll find a huge number of ways to do that.
Side note, we're on a mission to learn Japanese in 30 days, but more on that later.
If you want to learn Siargao, which is the dialect of this island, you struggle to find anything. So our saviour comes in the form of Tagalog, which is the mother language of the Philippines.
Locals have told us that if we can speak Tagalog and English, then most Filipinos will understand us when we travel. So the next question is, where can we learn Tagalog? So we signed up to Rosetta Stone. It's one of the only mainstream apps that features Tagalog. So a huge thank you to Rosetta Stone for being today's video partner and including the language resources that we've struggled to find until now. We're excited to be collaborating with such a well-known language resource because even when we were at school, Rosetta Stone was the language system. So their reputation is top-notch and has been for years.
Magandang araw. We've actually always been very shy with language learning, and our preference is to practice at home first, and the anxiety of being tested by a teacher, it's quite discouraging for us personally. But online app courses like Rosetta Stone are a very encouraging way for us to start absorbing language that we want to learn.
Magandang araw. It's one of the only mainstream apps that prioritizes pronunciation, and through its immersive learning approach, it taps into your brain's natural ability to learn languages.
Batang babae.
In the same way that you learned your first language, you don't have to memorize a long list of vocabulary. It's more intuitive than that. And the voice recognition tool, which is really good, matches your audio to audio from native speakers and then gives you feedback on how well you're pronouncing the words. So you get your pronunciations right.
There's also image association that's just like flashcards, but without having to translate to English first. It's actually really fun and convenient as well. We can learn at any time, and sometimes we'll do a quick lesson after midnight when online tutoring would be really impractical because teachers would be in bed.
Yeah, I find that it replaces doom scrolling on social media with something that grows my brain instead. And it fits well with homeschooling for Story as well. 6 to 7 years old is a great age for kids to enjoy learning languages, and Story is excited to unlock a new world by including this in her studies.
So our future plan is to learn more Tagalog for our travels in the Philippines, and it's going to take time, and we're sure we'll slip into Tagalish a lot, but this is the way that works best for us.
Our current mission is to learn as much Japanese as possible in 30 days in prep for our upcoming camping trip to rural Japan.
We've heard that English isn't as widely spoken in Japan compared to the Philippines.
So Rosetta Stone is giving us an emergency toolkit of phrases to make the most of our time in Japan.
Juice,
Juice.
juice,
Juice.
お茶、お茶。
お茶。
女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。
男の人
ジュース、
ジュ
ジュース。
ジュース
We know that most of you guys watching are Filipino and you all work all over the world, so languages and native pronunciations are important for getting jobs and better pay, so Rosetta Stone might be useful to you as well.
As part of our partnership, they gave us an exclusive 60% discount code to share for their lifetime subscription, and that gives you access to all of the languages for life. So if you decided to purchase it now, you'd never have to pay a renewal fee again, which is rare these days when most companies will give you like a pay annually or a yearly subscription thing, and it can work out quite expensive. So we hope that you try it. The links are down below in the comments and description. And while you're down there, let us know your language learning stories too. It's always nice to hear how others overcome challenges like this from their life experiences as well. Poppy has been itching to move. She's been digging the sand all around us while we were sitting down talking.
She always does. She digs the sand to find a nice cool spot, but it's actually, we're in Amihan season now here on the island, which means windy.
Yes, windy
Windy
season.
season. It's brewing up, like you can see the hair's flowing. But it's nice. We come out for Poppy's walks and you get a beautiful breeze and it just takes away some heat. So it's quite pleasant this time of year here.
Started a bit later than usual as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The Amihan season. There's not really many distinguishable seasons in the Philippines because it's just kind of hot and humid all year. But yeah, this one is one of the main ones that we noticed when we first came to this island, the windy season, because it normally leads into the typhoons and the storms, which is like the terrifying season, I'll call that, which normally kind of aligns with Christmas time.
Yeah.
So speaking about travels around the Philippines, when we get back from Japan, we haven't officially decided yet because it really does depend on a few factors, but we want to see if we can fit in another trip before the end of the year.
Yeah.
We would like to do that in the Philippines so that we can take our dog Poppy with us, because we won't have a pet sitter at that time of year around about Christmas. And we're hoping that they finally open the big shipping port on Siargao Island, which is supposed to accommodate bigger ships, which means we might be able to take the car and our dog and everybody all the way up to,
further afield.
yeah, hopefully back up to Luzon,
Yeah.
which is the main island here in the Philippines, the big one that's got Manila in it.
It's got minutes.
Yeah. And then we could drive further north and see some of the really cool sights of the north, like
Yeah.
Vigan.
It would be
and-
nice to spend Christmas with my dad.
Yeah.
If you don't know, my dad also lives here in the Philippines, but in Luzon. So even though we're in the same country, we're still like 800 miles apart.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like getting on a plane to Spain from England.
Yeah.
We're that far apart from each other.
Yeah.
Story's got something to show us. Hang on. What have you seen?
right there in front of you. It's a heart.
Yeah, it's a beautiful heart shape, isn't it?
Yes.
It is nice. It's perfect.
We don't need to go to Japan. Mount Fuji's right here.
Well, that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can make it look like Fuji.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it could be a bit snowy. I'm not sure if I've got the right angle here, really.
It's a Roxy.
I hope not.
Whee!
Last night, me and Jay were up quite late preparing for our Japan trip, where we're trying to work out the routes that we're going to take in the camper van. And the more we look into it, the more areas that we see, we're like, we don't have enough time. There's so much that we want to fit in rural Japan as well. Like we want to go to all that off the beaten path places. And we've gotten to the stage now, we've actually run out of time, actually run out of days to go to Tokyo.
I know.
Which is like, everyone, you think of Japan, you instantly think of Tokyo, the city and things like that. But for us, I don't even know if we're going to get to go.
I know, it's possible.
Maybe like the last day,
It's gone down to one day at this point.
because we do want to see the city, and Story really wants to go and, you know, do some fun arcade stuff and some real like city things. But we might have to pack it into one day.
Yeah.
But you know, like we're learning Japanese language as well right now. and it's not just for one trip because we do plan to go back. So the more that we can learn now and expose ourselves to being in different languages, we can use it again, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I mean, going to rural Japan will force us into a situation where it's necessary to at least understand or hear certain phrases and words that we need to get around properly and feel comfortable on the road. And I know that people are always friendly enough to kind of guide you through with body language, but to make things a little bit more accessible to us, that's what I want. I want to be able to feel confident that I can go somewhere, or I can ask someone if I can park somewhere, or if we can drive into a place, and having the language will help us do that. Back to the subject of travelling Luzon, if they sort out the boats, we would love to go up to Vigan and the Banawe rice terraces up there. It's really a bucket list destination in the Philippines.
Yeah, and also my dad really wants to go up there as well. He has been to Vigan, but only for a very short time, and he wants to go back. So if we did manage to get back to Luzon at the end of the year, we would be in a good position to explore further afield and go to some more rural parts of the Philippines that we haven't seen yet.
We mentioned earlier about there being 180 dialects. Well, in Luzon, they mostly speak Tagalog up there. That's like where the most Filipinos are speaking Tagalog. So here where we live, it's Bisaya. So people do speak Tagalog and English, but their main language is Bisaya. So there aren't very many resources for Bisaya yet, are there?
No, not at all. I've not seen any, I don't think.
No, apart from just like actual online tutors and some YouTube videos, but no apps, or the mainstream apps don't really cover it. But we know that Tagalog will allow us to go across more Filipino islands and just kind of integrate more.
And like we said, Rosetta Stone is one of the only ones that we know of that actually does cover Tagalog. So learning a little bit of it now might come in handy when we do eventually venture more rural in the Philippines.
Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Onnanoko.
Onnanako. Otokonoko.
Alright, that is it from us today. I just want to say a huge thank you to Rosetta Stone for partnering with us on this video today.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to try out some of the stuff we've learned when we get to Japan in just a few days' time now.
Oh, exciting.
And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.